You already know it's your favorite bean eating mofo, fresh off that banana boat. Big Lou, no flies on Ricans too, NFZR2. So if this is the first time you're coming to the channel, it'd be highly appreciated if you subbed, liked, and shared the channel with your family, friends, peoples, gente, comrades, camaradas, associates, buddies, pals, and feel free to comment. I'll respond back to all the comments. So as you can see, we're back on the profiles, sports profiles. This time we're back with the NFL and pro football, and it's going to be a profile between two of the greatest quarterbacks. They got to be definitely in the top 10 or 15, no more than 15. These two guys, right? Because over the years, obviously, Peyton Manning's been put in there. Tom Brady's still playing, but he's in there. Brett Favre's been put in there. Also, Aaron Rodgers got to be in there. Big Ben's got to be up in there somewhere. Um, Obviously, Joe Montana. You know what I mean? Obviously, these two. Um, also, Staubach, Bradshaw. You know what I mean? There's a lot of great quarterbacks. Also, Drew Brees. Phillip Rivers got to be somewhere up in there. Maybe not 15, but these guys are close. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. But we're going to start out with John Elway. He was born John Albert Elway Jr. on June 28, 1960. He's currently 62 years old, right? Right now, he's a consultant for the Denver Broncos, pretty much like a general manager, right? He's born in Port Angeles, Washington. He stood 6'3", 215 pounds. He went to Granada Hills High School in Granada Hill, California. Then he went on to play for Stanford from 1979 to 1982. And he was the first pick overall of the 1983 draft, right? As a player, he played only for one organization, which was the Denver Broncos, which is a plus in my book, guys that played for only one organization. He played from 83 to 98, going out on top. And he's been an executive with the Broncos since 2011 until present. Before that, also during that time, he's been the president of football operations and also a consultant. So actually, he changed his title from executive vice president of football operations to now consultant. So I guess he stepped back on some of his duties. You know what I mean? Okay, so as a player, he's a two-time Super Bowl champion. So he won back-to-back Super Bowls in his last two seasons before retiring. He was the Super Bowl MVP in his last season, which was the Super Bowl. He was the most valuable player in 1987. He was man of the year in 1992. He's a three-time second-team All-Pro, 87, 93, and 96. He's a nine-time Pro Bowler, 86, 87, 89, 91, 93, 94, and 96, 97, 98. He's an NFL passing yards leader in 1993. He's an NFL 1990s All-Decade team. He's a NFL member of the 100th All-Anniversary team. He's also part of the Broncos Ring of Fame. His number 7 is retired by the Broncos. He's a unanimous All-American in 82, Sammy Ball Trophy in 82, two-time Pac-10 Player of the Year in 1980 and 1982, and his number 7 is retired by the Stanford Cardinals. He's and as an executive, he's got a Super Bowl and also Arena Bowl championship. So, and some of his NFL statistics are: he has 300 touchdowns. Exactly, and 226 interceptions with 51,475 passing yards, with a completion percentage of 57%, with the passing rating of 80, rushing yards 3,407 yards, with 33 rushing touchdowns. He's in the College Hall of Fame and the NFL Hall of Fame, right? So some early life about him: he's a twin. He has a twin sister named Jana. And as like I already mentioned, they're born in June 28, 1960 in Port Angeles, Washington. So that's my cousin's birthday. My cousin was born in 57. R.I.P. Jimmy. To Jack Elway and Janet, right? Nee Jordan. 83 NFL draft. Like I said, he was picked first overall. The Colts had the first overall pick in the 83 draft, nicknamed the quarterback class of 83. Elway was the first of 6 quarterbacks selected in the first round. Elway was wary of playing for the Colts, among the worst teams in the league at the time. His father advised him against playing for head coach Frank Kush, who had a reputation as a harsh taskmaster. While Elway preferred football, his agent Marvin Demhoff later stated that baseball was a true option for him. So yeah, if you guys don't know, John Elway played baseball and he was in the Yankees farm team system. So Elway told the Colts in '82 that he did not want to play football for the team, and later told the Colts he wanted to play on the West Coast or for the Cowboys or the Dolphins. After unsuccessfully attempting to negotiate a private agreement with the Colts in which Elway could cite his alleged desire to remain on the West Coast to explain the team trading him, Elway publicly threatened to join the Yankees full-time if the Colts did not trade him. Demhoff wrote in the Journal, just published 3 decades later, that he would be a garbage collector before he played for Baltimore. Elway's refusal to join the Colts was controversial. Steelers quarterback Bradshaw denounced him, stating, "You should play baseball. He's not the kind of guy you win championships with." But many other NFL teams began negotiations with the Colts for the quarterback. One possibility was trading Elway to the Niners. Joe Montana, whose team had a poor season in '82. Another trade was with the San Diego Chargers, who were negotiating a new contract with star quarterback Dan Fouts. New England Patriots were interested, but the Colts did not wish to trade Elway to a team in the same division. The Raiders almost traded for Elway the day before the draft, but the Raiders could not complete a required trade with the Bears. Could you imagine that if Elway played with the Raiders? Would have been a totally different deal there, right? You would think. So as one of the best quarterbacks drafted, Elway joined the Broncos as one of the most highly anticipated athletes in the history of the NFL, right? The local newspapers ran a section that was called the Elway Watch. After Craig Morton retired after the '82 season and Herman was traded, the press expected that Elway might become the starting QB during the '83 season. He debuted for the Broncos in the season opener against the Pittsburgh Steelers at Three River Stadium and was sacked for the first time in his NFL career at the hands of linebacker and fellow Hall of Famer Jack Lambert. That's a mean son of a gun right there. In his first game, Elway was relieved by veteran quarterback Steve DeBerg, who led the Broncos to a victory. Elway's second game was also on the road at Baltimore and was spirited by his rejection of the franchise. In what would turn out to be Elway's only professional game at Baltimore, Elway was again relieved in close game by DeBerg, who led the Broncos to another win. Early in October, DeBerg was named the starter by third-year head coach Dan Reeves for the remainder of the season, but a shoulder injury brought Elway back a month later. In the '86 season, Elway led the Broncos to Super Bowl after defeating the Browns on a famous possession at the end of the fourth quarter that became known as the drive. In a span of 5 minutes and 2 seconds, Elway led the team 98 yards to tie the game with 37 seconds left in regulations. I remember this well. The Broncos won the game in overtime. Elway and the Broncos started out Super Bowl against the Giants very well, building a 10-7 lead and then driving to the Giants' 1-yard line in the second quarter. However, the Broncos lost 5 yards on their next 3 plays and came up empty after kicker Rich Carless missed a field goal attempt. From that point on, the rest of the game went downhill for the Broncos, which we know that, right? '87 season, Elway was selected to start in the American Football Conference AFC Pro Bowl team and won the MVP, the NFL Most Valuable Player award. He went on to once again lead the Broncos to a victory over the Browns in AFC title game, earning their second consecutive Super Bowl appearance. This one against the Redskins, which the Redskins smashed them, right? After recording the 8-8 season in '88, Elway was once again led his team to the Super Bowl after the '89 season with yet another win over the Browns in the AFC Championship game and going on to face the 49ers. However, this game ended up even worse for the Broncos than their previous Super Bowl losses. San Francisco blew them out 55-10, the most lopsided score in Super Bowl history. Although Elway scored the only touchdown for the team on a 3-yard run, his performance was missable. 10 of 26 completions for 108 yards with no touchdowns and 2 interceptions. It took Elway another 8 years until he eventually led his team back to the Super Bowl following the '97 season during the preseason American Bowl game in Mexico City. Elway ruptured his right throwing arm bicep tendon. It was treated surgically, and he returned to play 19 days later, and the team advanced to the Super Bowl. Elway's fourth, where they faced Green Bay, the defending champions. Despite Elway completing only 11 of 22 passes, throwing no touchdowns, but 1 interception, the Broncos defeated the Packers 31-24, winning their first Super Bowl. after 3 failed attempts for Elway and 4 for the team. In '98, the Broncos repeated the feature, and Elway was named MVP of the Super Bowl, throwing 336 yards, a touchdown, and an interception, while also scoring a rushing touchdown in Denver's 39-19 win over the Atlanta Falcons. It was his last game in a Broncos uniform. He ended up retiring. That was his last game other than the '99 Pro Bowl, because they started playing the Pro Bowl after the Super Bowl. And then on May 2nd, '99, at age 38, Elway announced his retirement from pro football. Elway is regarded as one of the top quarterbacks to play the game. He has one of the best winning percentages in league history: 148 wins, 82 losses, and 1 tie, and was tied for the second most Pro Bowl selections for a quarterback with 9 at the time of his retirement. Elway played in 22 postseason games with the Broncos, 21 as a starter, and led the team to victory in 14 of them. In those games, he threw 4,964 yards, 27 TDs, and 21 interceptions, while also rushing for 461 yards and 6 more scores. He is currently 9 all-time in passing yards, 10th in completions and completed passes, 12th in passing touchdowns. His 4 total rushing touchdowns in the Super Bowl games are the most by a QB. He is also the second player to score a rushing touchdown in 4 different Super Bowls. Running back Thurman Thomas was the first. This guy, man, when the Raiders, because they're in the Raiders division, the Broncos, as well as it's the Broncos and the Broncos, the Chargers, the Chiefs, and used to be the Seahawks. And I'm gonna throw the Seahawks in this because at this time the Seahawks were still in our division and they still were in the AFC. Now they're in the AFC West with us. Now they're in the NFC West with the 49ers, the Rams. Who else was over there? The Arizona Cardinals, and one other team. Who is it? Seattle. Seattle Super Seahawks. Excuse me. Damn, almost said Supersonics. Seattle. Anyways, how I remember so frankly that Howie Long, Greg Townsend, Sean Jones, Anthony Smith later would almost grab this dude for a sack, man, and somehow he would just wiggle his way out of it and get away and run those few yards for a first down, or he would, throw that pass off to trying to think who their running back was back then. The Broncos running back was Sammy Smith, I believe, right? No, Sammy Smith was Miami. Man, I can't remember Denver's running back then. Or he would throw a little pass to 3 of the wideouts, right? Vance Johnson or one of them guys, and he used to just eat me up, man. He was very competitive. He went through, like we said, he went to 3 Super Bowls, lost them all until his last 2 seasons where he won back-to-back, put 2 rings on his hand or his trophy case, however you want to say it, and also got an MVP, Super Bowl MVP in his last official competitive game, because he ended up playing in the Pro Bowl, which is competitive, but it doesn't go down as a real game. It's like more exposition. But John Elway definitely is a great, and he's up there in the stats, on a few different categories, and also, like I mentioned, he played for the Yankees farm team. I seen baseball cards of him in Yankee uniforms, and somewhere down the line I'm gonna do also videos on sports players that were 2-sport or 3-sport guys, such as Bo Jackson, Deion Sanders, Brian Jordan, Danny Ainge, Macho Man Randy Savage, Dave Winfield, Tony Gwynn, who else? Russell Wilson. There's 1 or 2 more. Also Goldberg, Wahoo McDaniel, what's his name? Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, Big Van Vader. And then you had some guys that played college, such as Lex Luger, Ron Simmons, The Rock. You know what I mean? Also, I want to see what else, give up some things that he's involved with. So he has 4 seasons where they went 12 wins or more. One time they won 13 games once, and 3 times 12. Two times 11, 11 wins or more. No, take that back. Two times 11 wins or more, and then two times 10 or more. He threw over 3,000 yards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 times over 3,000. He threw over 4,000 once. He threw over 3,800 one, two times. He threw. Let's see. He never threw 30 touchdowns, but he threw over 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times over 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times over 22. 2, 3, 4, 4 times over 25, 3 times over 26, and once over 27. So he had a pretty good, solid career. He's involved in a lot of business activities as far as the arena football. He's a co-owner of Colorado Crush in the Arena Football League, Ritz-Carlton restaurants, Four Steakhouse restaurants, Denver International Airport. A lot of them do. He got a lot of charity work and stuff like that going on. So he's definitely, like I said, John Elway is definitely a great football player, right? And he solidified his career, finally winning those 2 Super Bowls at the end of his career, the last 2 seasons of his career, which are definitely a big, huge deal, right? So now we're going to switch on over to Daniel Constantine Marino Jr. He's born on September 15th, 1961. Right now, he's a special advisor for the Miami Dolphins. He's currently 61 years old. He's born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 6'4", 228 pounds. He went to Central Catholic High School in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He went to University of Pittsburgh from 1979 to 82, and he was drafted in the 83 draft in the same year that Elway, but he was a 27 pick in the first round. As a player, he played with one squad, the Dolphins, from 83 to 99, and as an executive with the Dolphins from 2014 to present. He has MVP award at 84, NFL Offensive Player in 84, NFL Comeback Player in 94, Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year in 98. He's a 3-time first-team All-Pro, 84, 85, 86. He's a 3-time second-team All-Pro, 83, 94, 95. He's a 9-time Pro Bowler, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 91, 92, 94, 95. He's a 5-time NFL passing yards leader, 84, 85, 86, 88, 92. He's a 3-time NFL passing touchdown leader, 84, 85, 86. NFL passing rating leader in 1984. He's an NFL 100th anniversary all-team member. He's a PFWA All-Rookie Team 83, George Hollis Award 95, Miami Dolphins Honor Roll. Miami Dolphins retired his jersey, number 13. He's got a Burt Bell Award in 84, First Team All-American 1981. His number 13 is retired by the Pittsburgh Panthers. Some of his statistics are passing attempts, 8,358 pass attempts, completing 4,967 of them for a 60% completion rate. He threw 420 touchdowns and 252 interceptions. He has 61,361 total passing yards, and he has a passing rating of 86.5. He's a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame and also the College Hall of Fame, right? Early years, he was born, like I said, in Pittsburgh, and he's of Italian and Polish ancestry. He is the oldest child of Daniel and Veronica Marino and has 2 younger sisters, Cindy and Debbie. His father delivered newspapers for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Marino grew up on Parkview Avenue in South Oakland neighborhood of Pittsburgh and attended St. Regis Catholic Elementary School. And I didn't know this. He was also drafted in baseball in 1975 by the Royals. I had no clue about that. Marino's selection status in 83 NFL draft plummeted after his weaker senior season at Pitt and rumors of recreational drug use. Other quarterbacks that were drafted was Ken O'Brien, Tony Easton, Tom Blackledge, and Hall of Famer Jim Kelly and John Elway, who were drafted ahead of him in the first round. Miami Dolphins chose him 27th overall in the first round, like I had mentioned. He did not expect to be available for the team to draft, so he never spoke to head coach John Shula or anyone else from the Dolphins because I guess he figured he was going to go a lot sooner than that. But obviously, because of that controversial senior year in Pitt's at University of Pitt, it messed him up a lot, right? Um, uh, he his early years, Marino was first draft pick in the history of the United States Football League, selected by the Los Angeles Express. He did not sign with the team, choosing instead to sign with the Dolphins. After starting the season as a backup to the incumbent starter David Woodley, Marino was given his first NFL start in Week 6 versus the Bills. Marino and Miami lost the game 38-35 in overtime. As a rookie, he set several records, posted a 96 passer rating. He was selected to the Pro Bowl as a rookie. He had the lowest percentage of passes intercepted with 2.03. He was the only rookie quarterback to lead a conference in passing, and he had the highest passing completion percentage with 58.45. The Dolphins finished the season 12-4 and advanced to the AFC divisional playoffs, where Marino threw 2 touchdown passes in his playoff debut. However, he also threw 2 interceptions, and they lost to the Seattle Seahawks 27-20. In his second season, Marino broke 6 NFL full season passing records, including the records for most touchdown passes, 48. That was later broke by Peyton Manning in 2004, and then later broke by Tom Brady, and then it was broke by Mahomes, I believe. Also passing most yards, 5,084, surpassed by Drew Brees in 11, and was selected as the NFL's most valuable player. Marino led the league in completions, yards, TD passes, and the Dolphins finished with a 14-2 regular season record, clinching home field advantage for the playoffs. In the divisional round, the Dolphins avenged their playoff loss the previous season to the Seattle Seahawks, 31-10, behind Marino's 262 passing yards, 3 TDs. And next week, Dolphins defeated the Steelers in the AFC Championship game, 45-28. In that game, Marino set AFC Championship records with 421 passing yards and 4 TDs, despite throwing his last pass of the game with 11:07 remaining on the clock. Both records still stand as 2002. So Super Bowl Marino and the Dolphins faced the 49ers and Joe Montana in Palo Alto, California. The Dolphins, who had 74 rushing attempts in the previous 2 weeks, ran the ball only 8 times in the game. Marino finished with 29 completions out of 50 attempts with 318 yards, throwing 1 TD and 2 interceptions. Dolphins lost 38-16 in what was Marino's only Super Bowl appearance. 85, Marino threw for 4,100 yards, 30 TDs, while leading the Dolphins to the AFC Championship game on September 29th. Marino threw for 390 yards, 3 TDs, in the 30-26 victory over the Broncos in the first matchup between Marino and John Elway. Then on December 2nd, Marino threw for 270 yards, 3 TDs against the vaunted Chicago Bears defense in a 38-24 victory. The loss was the only one that the Bears experienced that season. Marino again led the league in completions, yards, and touchdown passes, and was named first-team All-Pro in 85. In September 7th, 86, 8 days shy of his 25th birthday, Marino threw his 100 TD pass in the 50-28 loss in San Diego. Marino accomplished that feet in just 44 games, the fastest in NFL history. In that 86 season, Marino threw for 4,700 yards and 44 TDs. Marino became the first QB in NFL history to record 3 consecutive seasons of 30 or more TDs, 48 and 84, 30 and 85, and 44 and 86. He again led the league in completions, yards, and touchdown passes, the first and only QB in NFL history to lead in all 3 categories for 3 consecutive seasons, and was named 86 first-team All-Pro. In 88, Marino threw for 4,400 yards and 28 TDs. As a result of his 4,400 passing yards, Marino became the first QB in NFL history to throw for 4,000 or more yards in 4 different seasons. Marino had been tied with Dan Fouts for most 4,000-yard passing seasons with 3. And then that's pretty much all his 80s, the 80s career for Marino. He ended up having some injuries in the 90s. And you know, a lot of his abilities and stuff were, you know, not the same. he had that rifle arm, but he became very slow in the pocket, and he would get sacked a lot more and stuff like that. His final season in retirement came in '99 on September 13th, defending the Super Bowl champion Broncos on Monday Night Football. Marino threw for 215 yards, 2 TDs, in the Dolphins' 38-21 victory. For that performance, Marino earned AFC Offensive Player of the Week honors, earned him that honor again on October 10th as he threw for 393 yards, 2 TDs, in a thrilling 34-31 comeback victory over the Colts. Then on October 17th versus the Patriots, Marino became the first QB in NFL history to throw for 60,000 passing yards career. Marino's final win was his first playoff road win and his 36th comeback win as the Broncos defeated the Seahawks in a 2017 win on January 9, 2000 in the final football game ever in Seattle Kingdom. In the next round, January 16th, also on the road, Marino and the Dolphins lost 62-7 to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Dolphins' 55-point margin of loss was the worst in AFC playoff history. Marino was replaced by backup Damian Horde after playing one series in the second half. However, he did end the first half on a high note, leading the Dolphins on an 80-yard scoring drive and throwing a 20-yard TD pass to pass receiver Oronde Gadsden with 20 seconds remaining. The Jacksonville game marked the end of Jimmy Johnson's coaching career. Before the 2000 season, Marino decided to retire after declining offers from Minnesota, Tampa Bay, and his hometown Pittsburgh when the Dolphins declined his option on his contract. Marino later admitted that he seriously considered the offer for the Vikings, but he turned it down, not because of his arm, but because not sure if that his legs could take another season. Plus, it's real cold up there, too, in Minnesota. And, if you got injuries, the coldness messes you up. He also appreciated the fact that, unlike many of his contemporaries, he got to play his entire career with one team. And to me, that's a big deal. Guys like, John Elway, who I just spoke about, Dan Marino, Howie Long, guys like that played one team their entire career. I think it means a lot. You know what I mean? His legacy, the Dolphins were perennial playoff contenders, reaching the postseason in 10 of Marino's 17 seasons. He was selected to play in 9 Pro Bowls, like I mentioned, 7 times as a starter. But due to injuries, he only played in 2 of the games, 84 and 92. He was named first or second All-Pro 8 times and earned all AFC honors 6 times. Marino won all 3 major individual awards: NFL MVP 84, NFL Comeback Player 94, NFL Man of the Year 98, which recognizes charitable work off the field. 99, Marino ranked 27th on the Sporting News list of 100 greatest football players, making him the highest-ranking Dolphins player. In 2010, he ranked number 25 on the NFL's top 100 greatest list. Marino, also known for his quick release, and despite the fact that he was not skilled at scrambling, Marino possessed an uncanny awareness in the pocket, often sliding a step or two to avoid pass rushers. And that's another thing, too, at the time during Marino's career, the best winning percentage at that time was the Raiders and the Dolphins, and they were battling it out. And now they're way ahead of us. You know what I mean? But again, like with John Elway and Dave Craig, Dan Marino too, being as slow as he was in the pocket, he would still get away from freaking Howie Long and them when when they were trying to sack him. It was crazy. It used to frustrate the shit out of me. As of the conclusion of the 2020 regular season, Dan Marino's 155 wins ranks 7th among NFL quarterbacks behind Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Brett Favre, Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger, and John Elway. Marino is also the winningest quarterback without a Super Bowl victory. Yeah, we know that. So Dan Marino's got to be one of the greatest football players ever to not have a ring, right? Tim Brown's up there. Chris Carter's up there. There's a lot of guys up there. Like basketball, it's a lot easier. Charles Barkley, Karl Malone, Patrick Ewing, John Stockton. You know what I mean? Elgin Baylor. It's quick. You can shoot them guys off quick. Who's who. You know what I mean on that list. Baseball is a little bit more difficult for me. I have to really think about it. But anyways, nonetheless, peoples, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this short. It's just about 30-minute video. Wanted to profile these 2 guys. I got another video set up here shortly. Hopefully I don't fall asleep. I got it set for I think about an hour from now. It's profiling on Azuma Nelson and Rafael Gomez. two of the greatest littler fighters in the history, bantamweight, featherweight fighters, which is about 100, between 118 pounds, 126 pounds, I believe, if I remember correctly. Both of these guys at the time were the top, probably 1 and 2, or 2 and 3, because Salvador Sanchez destroyed both of these guys. But you had Rocky Lockridge around that time. You also had Jeff Finnich, and those were probably the second tier fighters. Anyways, I'll be dropping that video shortly here. So I appreciate. I know a few people popped in. They didn't comment, but they popped in. I appreciate you guys viewing, and I also appreciate anybody that comes later and watches the video. That's usually how I get most of the views on the lives. Again, I'm not up on how to put a thumbnail on a pre-record, so I've been doing the lives because I can put a thumbnail, and I want you guys to see by the from the thumbnail what the video is about. You know what I'm saying? So again, I appreciate everybody that's always patient with me when I schedule videos and I end up pushing it off, or being very late, and just got things going on with kids and family, work, and all that stuff. So appreciate everybody, and with that being said, also everybody that after the video is uploaded by YouTube, I appreciate everybody that comes and watches it later. That being said, Big Lou's gonna tap on out, but just before I do, if it's the first time you're coming to this channel, I'm gonna restate this again. Be sure to like, sub, and share the channel, and comment. And I no matter what, even if it's a question that doesn't have to do with the video, and you just want to ask me something, shoot it, and I answer back all comments. That being said, Big Lou, your favorite banana boat riding, bean eating cat of the West Coast, baby, and I'm out.